We are connecting live to Facebook, everyone. Give me about another minute for this to connect and we will start in a few. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. This is the first of our hashtag Flip the Sign Speaker Series hosted by the new Greater First Coast Chamber of Commerce, Innovation, and Trade. We are now streaming Facebook Live as well as Zoom. And I want to welcome Mr. Brian Williams of JAXPORT as our first featured guest of the Flip the Sign Speaker Series. I am going to put you on speaker view, Mr. Williams, and thank you again for being here. I spoke with you recently, met you through a mutual event. That my speaker view is not on just yet. Met you at a mutual event with the MBDA Import-Export Center in Miami and reached out to you to work with us to promote the great things that small and minority business programs are doing here in Jacksonville, and you readily agreed to be our first speaker. So thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. As I said earlier, I always like to be at the forefront, so hopefully I'll do justice by you, and you'll invite me back again.
I sure will. You have not let me down at all. We are both transplants here in Jacksonville. We were having that conversation. So I wanted to start with just what brought you here and then let people get to know you a little bit, who you are, what brought you here to Jacksonville. And then we'll start to talk about the work that you do at JAXPORT. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I try not to get too spiritual when I talk about my story, but the real answer is I was sent here. I didn't know why. Me and my wife came and visited after about 10 months of figuring out where we were supposed to go. We came down and visited, and by the time we got back home, I still wasn't sure. And so I said to my wife, if ever one of us gets the job first, that's when we're moving. Needless to say, by the time we got back, she was basically offered a job. We met some people down here. They turned her on to some other people. And next thing you know, we were down here. So we came in October, we moved by January. So January 1st of 2015 or 16, one of these years, we moved here. I came here because I was searching for something more in my life, and I wanted to go somewhere where I could actually help and establish something that's very important to me. My background basically for the last 20 years has been in workforce investment. And so I worked in economic development to bring companies in, and then workforce development to provide the clients or to provide the workers. So I knew that I wanted to do something that worked with minority business, disadvantaged people, people who through no fault of their own didn't have a job. And so to me, entrepreneurship was where I wanted to go. And I really want to say I've been blessed. I came down here and within 6 months, I got a job with Duval County Schools as the coordinator of their small business program. And so after spending a year there getting to know Jacksonville, this opportunity presented itself here at JAXPORT. And so I took the job. And again, just to be able to be in a position to assist small businesses. And I think there's so much of a growth potential here in Jacksonville that I don't think I'll ever have a chance to get tired of it. So I'm excited to be a part of that growth. And then, as we discussed, um, Pittsburgh has a very large African American Chamber of Commerce. Same with Philadelphia. So in Pennsylvania, I'm used to having a strong presence. So I'm excited about the potential that this chamber can have and being a place where small businesses can come to.
Thank you so much for that. We are 8 days old, everyone, the Greater First Coast Chamber of Commerce, Innovation, and Trade. And the chamber came about primarily because of COVID. We were searching for answers to how small minority-owned businesses were being impacted through COVID, and in particularly Black businesses, because the impact and the research was showing that about 40% of Black-owned businesses were closing. And so again, that's very fitting today with this speaker series that we launched for Black History Month, the hashtag Flip the Sign speaker series, is to talk about what groups, organizations, and agencies are doing here in Jacksonville to reverse that trend. And so we see JAXPORT and Mr. Williams' work as a critical component to finding the answers and to pulling together the resources that we need to reverse this trend. So Mr. Williams, you're from Pittsburgh, you said?
Yes.
Okay, and we were talking earlier about, what were your thoughts about the Super Bowl last night? So we'll say that we were all rooting for individuals, but we're very happy with the overall performance and the outcome. And when we think about the Super Bowl, when I was in Miami years ago, there was a huge small business component integrated into the Super Bowl there. And then when it was here in Jacksonville, the same thing, that some of our small businesses during that time benefited from working with the Super Bowl and getting contracts with the Super Bowl. So you and I are on the same page where there's so much opportunity here and so much more that we can do. If you're all in, I'm all in. So thank you again. So I want to talk about your work with JAXPORT. And we were talking about, things you've done in the past, how you were actually pivoting your work to, to be more impactful to small businesses here, and then also your future activities that are coming up. So if you can give me just a concept or scope of when you first arrived here, what were some of the key initiatives or approaches that you were using to support the small emerging business program at JAXPORT?
Well, it was kind of an interesting way I went about it. As I said, I was in workforce investment in Pittsburgh. So the first thing I did was to connect with the workforce investment area down here, which is Career Source. And they had an entrepreneurial program that they were running, in which I was able to meet a lot of the small businesses who were participating at that time. And it kind of lit the fire because I was trying to figure out where it was going. And then I got directed, again, I'm not trying to be overly religious, but I feel I got directed to that program. And from that program, it flipped my script, so to say, and put me in, wow, there's a lot of need for assistance for entrepreneurs here, and a lot of need of assistance for minority small businesses, particularly in the African American neighborhoods. So when I start looking around at things I wanted to do, and the first job I said was with Duval County Schools, doing the same thing. And that's where I jumped in and got my initiation. I had a great manager, and she was very much willing to show me the ropes around Jacksonville. So within those different things happening, I became more and more involved with the chamber, with the Urban League, with different entities providing opportunities to small businesses. Because basically what I do is my job is to make sure that small businesses have an opportunity to contract with JAXPORT. I want small businesses to get a piece of that pie. And so my job is to go out, recruit, educate, train, connect, and develop those relationships, not only with the small business community, but also with the entities that are that is part of their charter to grow small businesses. So that's kind of where I got started. I got excited. I started working with different contractors. Having my first thing was to make sure I understood all the players, the big players, and then how I could go about parceling out um, uh, contracts to small businesses, and not just subcontracts. I wanted to break down big contracts. And so fortunately, and I'm pretty sure you heard about the diversity study that was done here, and I think was officially finished in 13. Um, it broke down how and the best way to achieve some fairness and to recognize those disparities. And it was just in line with what I was thinking was how can we break down these contracts? And to my surprise, or to my pleasant surprise, um, all that was needed was somebody to really get out there and do the footwork. A lot of times we're here and we're one person shows, so it's hard to do all the footwork and attend all the meetings, which in a weird way has made the virtual world a great space.
Yes.
So what I do here at JAXPORT, I literally take projects from inception. I am a part of the engineering our capital project. So we meet monthly and discuss projects that are coming up. And then I dive into those projects with the managers or the directors to see what we can pull out of that or what we can do to assign that or shelter that even for a small business. So I'm there looking at everything the engineer of record had to say. So if he says there's uh, concrete, there's trucking, there's underwater diving, I pick out the parts that I think the small businesses here can do. And then I check the JSEB list, I check the DBE list, I check the MBE, WBE list, I check the SBA list, and I have groupings. And so I just send it all out to everybody before, my thing is to give them as much advance warning as possible that something's coming out. Um, and then I include them on the mailing. So whenever that bid goes out, they're the first ones to get it. And it's been, to be honest with you, that part of it has been very successful, working with my internal customers as well as my external customers. And I would have to say that since I've been here, based on our capital projects that we could assign or that we could even include some of our ready, willing, and able workers, we've been floating between 30 and 35% every year with all our business, a lot of that business, all that 30 to 35% going to small and minority businesses.
Is that the goal, 30%?
No, my goal was actually 18.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I love that.
So I'm excited about it.
And I'm curious to know, that is absolutely incredible. Thank you for the work that you've put into making sure that that happens. We don't always hear about the successful programs and processes that are in place. And that's what I want to ask you about. Sort of what is the journey of the bid process? How can I, as a small business person, sort of better understand the bid process or the procurement process, and what, when you're having these meetings, are they open meetings is my other question that comes to my mind. Can we sort of be an ear or fly on the wall in terms of understanding and educating ourselves about the procurement process. What does that look like? What's the journey? And at what entry point can we have an opportunity to start to pay attention and dive in as well?
Well, first thing I want to say is that any vendor who wants to do business with Jacksonville, with the port, needs to register as a vendor on our website at jaxport.com. And they can go right to the supplier, the procurement portal, and you click and register as a business. And there you can register based on your codes, what it is you do. What makes that important is once we have you as a registered vendor or a registered supplier, the new terminology, is that whenever a job comes out that matches your code, you automatically get notice of that and you automatically receive a key to open up that notice. Now, so what I do again there is to make sure that I have as many people as possible in the system. And if they're not in the system, I have to call them and tell them to get in the system. And that's the first step. As far as are the meetings open? Yes. We're a public entity. Our pre-bid meetings are definitely open. And I encourage everybody that I send notice to please come to the pre-bid meetings. Okay. These meetings are also announced on our webpage under the procurement department. They're also listed on our LinkedIn page under procurement showcase. And they're also on the JAXPORT LinkedIn page and also on our full, all our multimedia social connections. I think it's very important that our small businesses attend these pre-bid meetings, whether they're virtual or whether they're in person. Sometimes even whether or not that is your line that you do. One of the things that I try and explain to people a lot is that JAXPORT is a landlord. We need everything landlords need. That makes us a little different than some of the other ones, companies. So not only do you get a chance to be in here and do JAXPORT work, you are now exposed to all our tenants. And they see you in here, and then next thing you know, they're like, well, maybe we can do some work with you. Because it's again, it's about connections. It's about people seeing you. It's about being in the right place. And then following up on that, and I know it's hard for small businesses because time is money, but I don't believe you can make money unless you put in the time. And sometimes that means, weighing that opportunity cost. If I go to this meeting, it's going to expose me to a lot of different things, a lot of different people. And I say that the same way if, like, for example, I know once the chamber's up and running, we're going to be having different segments, different seminars. And now that we're in this virtual age, you don't have to go nowhere. So let's get on to use the system. It's so easy now easy might be a different word because if anybody's old as me, the technology might be a little fuzzy, okay? But you really have to go and figure that out because guess what? There are different entities in the city and that's part of their function is to teach you how to work on a computer, to get you familiar with all these different programs. So the universities, the Urban League, different places, Jack's Chamber, all have places for you to go to learn this new technology. I can go on that for days, so I apologize. I'm going to get back to the second part of that is I need businesses to be certified as small business entities. That's how we get the small and emerging businesses. JAXPORT being a quasi-governmental authority of the city of Jacksonville, we are using their JSEB, that's where you get the J I had to take the J off because people were confused. Um, their JSEB program is the certifying program. And so that's why I took the J off of ours, because we don't certify, so we just use.
Mm.
So that's a big difference. And I wanted people to see that difference. Um, and I also tell people that if you certify for JSEB, then you might as well get certified as a DBE. You might as well get certified as an MBE, and you might as well see what you can do with the SBA, because all of them use the same paperwork. You know, people are confused sometimes, like, wow, I got to do all that paperwork. If you do one, you pretty much have all the paperwork for every last other one. So I encourage people to get certified, because then that opens up the door again to all the agencies in the city of Jacksonville. I'm part of a joint agency task force, and our goal was, and our mission was to figure out how all of us, JTA, JAA, JEA, could all come together and figure out best practices in order to assist our constituents. And that has been very important because it allows me to find out how other people are doing and also to make recommendations. So now I get all their contracting opportunities as well, and vice versa. So when I send things out, sometimes it has nothing to do with JAXPORT. You know, it has something to do with small businesses getting opportunities. So that gets me excited. As you can see, I'm a talker, and I'm excited about helping small businesses. But if they sign up as a vendor, a supplier, and they go and get certified, that gives them an extra boost. And then I also tell people is we're just a part of your portfolio, please. You know, if we can help you get started, or if we can be a piece of your puzzle, you know, just don't think that we're the only thing in town. Even though I think I'm the best thing in town, but I'm not the only one.
I appreciate that. And thank you for being a talker, because I take notes as a person speaking, and you give a lot of good and generous and quality information. So thank you for that. I want to go back to the work connections that you mentioned a while ago. So we have the certification component. And from what I see, a lot of businesses aren't yet ready to complete that certification process for whatever reason. So the other coin, or the other side of that, is making the connections, creating the relationships ahead of that. Because in order to get a job, you don't need to be certified. No one's going to, if you're good at what you do, you're good at what you do. And if you have that relationship in place where you have previous work experience, previous history, regardless of if you're ready for the certification process, someone can still see you as a viable business partner. Do you agree with that?
Yes, 100%. That's why the first thing I said was to register as a supplier. The first thing I didn't say was get certified. The first thing is register as a supplier, because that way you're available for all the jobs that meet your code. And I use the certification second, because exactly what you're saying, your business is your business, and that's what's important. So I got to get your business in the system before I can even worry about the certification. Now, they go hand in hand for me, obviously, but I want to say that there's a couple of people on here that I've worked with in the past, and I've met at different events. The whole thing of meeting people, working with people, establishing those relationships allows you to feel comfortable to call somebody. I say every week I'm working with someone on a certification. So whether it's with the city or DBE or whatever, somebody's calling me and saying, hey, Brian, how do I do this? Now, I don't do all the work because they got people paid to do the work too. But before the pandemic, I would literally bring them into my office and we would sit down and go over everything that was required. You know, everything from if it's tax returns, if it's make sure you're filed with Sunbids, make sure you're registered with the city taxes, Make sure you got all your licenses in place, because this is what's going to be expected of you. And then I try and break it down so they're not as overwhelmed as if they went directly to those agencies. So part of my outreach is to actually work with different businesses to get them ready. Now, again, that's kind of, I'm an education type person, so I enjoy teaching, helping, and working. The one thing I think I work with here at Jacksonville a lot is the education piece. I like that part of it, making sure that, I have an educated entrepreneur. And so if that means directing them to other programs, to other seminars, to other available opportunities, that's what I like to do.
I'm going to brand you that you are the person who produces the educated entrepreneur. I like that.
Right. You know what?
An educated
Now I have to
entrepreneur
write
will
that
go
down.
along.
You say you write stuff down, I have to write stuff down now.
Yeah, you want to coin that one. You create and produce educated entrepreneurs, and that is a highly valuable statement and a highly valued thing to say. A lot of entrepreneurs just miss a lot of great opportunities because they're unaware. So yeah, I absolutely appreciate your saying that, and that is going to be your brand moving forward. You create educated entrepreneurs.
That's right.
I'm big into marketing, so you'll
Well,
see
I
it
know.
coming out of me. So let's talk about.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
No,
it's about you.
I like to take the nuggets. I said I like to take the nuggets. All right, go ahead, shoot.
They go a long way. Absolutely. So you were mentioning technology a few minutes ago, and you and I spoke about technology as some of the things that hold entrepreneurs back as well. So if you can elaborate on just some things that you see in terms of, helping us to reverse this trend, keep businesses open, and adapt ourselves to this COVID environment. What are some of the challenges that you see that we need to address?
Well, one of the issues that we need to address, again, I'm looking from an outsider, is the lack of trust of the small businesses with the entities that are here, based on how things have always been done in the past. And again, I'm from up north, so I look at life a little different than people down here in the South. And uh, I believe that the lack of trust is the biggest issue, because the entities down here, I don't think have been as forthcoming with assisting small and African American entrepreneurs. The opportunities haven't been there, and I believe people have thrown their hands up in the air and said, okay, well, that doesn't work for me anyway, so I'm going to figure out how to do it. So I believe building trust is the big thing. And again, I was telling you earlier about the JTAS committee. It is full of people who are committed to erasing that fear, erasing that reality. The leadership at JTA, Ken, the leadership over at the school board, and JAA. Matter of fact, the director at JAA pretty much wrote all the small business laws for the city. So it's what we do. It's our mission. It's kind of like everybody that's there says this is what they were supposed to do. And they've all experienced other things. I used to be a banker. So I came in, from the banking world into this arena. And so I made that change in order to help. So I got to make sure that people believe in me, people trust me, people trust you when they see somebody looking like them working on the port. They trust you when they see that the jobs that are going out are going to small businesses. They trust you when you have events and everybody there is saying, "Oh yeah, I'm here because I got a job here." I mean, everything down to office supplies, to cement, to building buildings. It doesn't matter how small. We have a contract with a young lady who comes in and takes care of all of our plants. Okay. Now, a lot of people might not think about it like, wow, why would they need that? But you need fresh plants. You need great quality air. And we have a person who has a contract who comes in and makes sure that we are green. So there are so many different ways to skin this cat. And so we have to go out there and prove to people all the time that we're fighting for them. And we have to be able to change the systems. We have to be able to make connections with city council. We have to make connections, at different levels of legislators to make sure that they understand what it is that people want. We hold town hall meetings in the past. They've been scary, but we didn't, because we had to face that truth of why people weren't signing up. And we had to sit there and take it a couple of times. But what it did was make us realize that we have to put our words into action. And so to me, that whole outreach, you know, building that trust is the number one issue. The second issue is the education as far as I think the age of the entrepreneurs down here is a whole lot older than they might be somewhere else. So I could be wrong. I haven't done a study on it. I'm just looking at the rooms that I'm in. And so what that does, that barrier, because I mean, to be honest with you, you're my age, computers weren't even around until you were 40 years old. I mean, it's like, so I remember, and I'm sorry, but I remember the first time I took a computer class and they showed me the computer room. It was as big as the building I'm in now, and all you could do was play Pac-Man or Pong. So learning the new systems, learning what the computers are about, my thing is I would like to see more places that have that technology available. So everywhere I've gone, we've had a computer center. So a computer bank where people can come in and learn. I'm pretty sure that we have it here, but not like what I'm used to seeing. I know CareerSource has a computer system, but I mean, actually working and teaching people how to do this. Um, I was on call today to figure out how I can go about getting a backdrop on the back of my screen so you wouldn't see my wall, because now this is all new to me. So I have to learn, and so if it's new to me, other people got to learn it too. So I would like to see more grassroots computer centers that will allow people access so that they'll be encouraged to buy their own computers, so they'll be able to work their computers and stop having to call their kids all the time to do something.
I was part of a research team. It was years ago, though, so hopefully it improved. But Jacksonville was on that list of cities who were lacking technology capabilities. So it has a history here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it has improved. I think about, when you say that, I also think about access to those centers, and sometimes that's a challenge as well. So have you seen access as also an issue with making sure that people not only find these centers and get the training, the hands-on training, because there are a lot of centers, but you're there by yourself. Do you think that access is another issue that we need to sort of put on the table for training?
I think you're hitting all the points today. It's huge. I mean, the city of Pittsburgh could probably fit in Jacksonville 100 times. because this place is huge, and there's a lot more
Oh,
countryside. Like I said, I'm from Pittsburgh. I don't know nothing about farms. I've never seen this much green space in my life. Okay, and then the fact that as I've learned here, I have a friend here with me now. He said, "Well, how long is it going to take to get there?" I said, "Oh, half an hour." Well, how long is it going to take to get there? I said, "A half an hour." He said, "Well, how long?" I said, "Look, just say a half an hour." You know, and then when you look at our neighborhoods, I'll just use the food desert, the inability of people to get the COVID shots. I think that is spread out so far that we have to figure out a way to make pockets inside of those places. Fortunately, they take money, and that's a whole nother thing I used to do, being a banker, and uh, I worked for a computer school. So on one side, we had a soft skills training school. On the other side, we had a computer repair and program school. And out of that, we turned it into 7 different centers using virtual technology. And this was 25 years ago. So we had computer banks in all the housing developments in the city of Pittsburgh. And so what we were able to do is we wrote up loans, got grants to provide the computer training in people's neighborhoods. So they didn't even have to go out and anywhere else to learn about computers, learn about how to function on computers. And then we taught them how to build computers, and they took their computers home with them. Um, I would love to be able to have something like that here within the different communities where we could develop a site that would assist people and then give them ownership of a computer once they're done, you know.
oh, wow.
So I have to go back into my grant writing hat.
You and me both. It's painful, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Doing the writing those proposals, painful. And I usually keep that a secret, but now it's out in
yeah.
the
I
open.
put it out there. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You and I are going to figure this out, and everyone else who's on board with this, we have to, really take ownership of our skill sets and try to figure this thing out. So I appreciate that. Your name is on my list
Yeah.
of grant writers.
I shouldn't have put that out there either.
But that's incredible. Yeah, my mind is racing in terms of why does Pittsburgh have that and Jacksonville does not. Jacksonville is a large city with a lot of geographic area to cover. It would seem that technology would be something that would be a critical asset here. So yeah, we'll put that on the table for discussion. But yeah, lack of trust. Nashawn Nix commented that trust builds community, and that's absolutely correct. That's true. And I wrote down another quote. We have to prove to people that we are fighting for them at JAXPORT. So that's your other quote of the day. Alfred, if you're listening, if we could post that in the live chat, we'll do that.
Yeah, keep them coming because I just talk. No. No.
Yeah, you're going to be quotable by the time I'm done. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of quotes and you're going to find your name all over news feeds. Yeah, Brian Williams, quotable. So yeah. Thank you for those comments, though. Highly valuable again. So we have 20 minutes left. So I want you to talk about the upcoming event that you have for small businesses, and tell us a little bit about how that came about, your annual convening, and what your intentions are behind it, and what should be the outcomes, what should we expect?
Well, I'm glad you plugged that. On March 24th, we finally came up with a date. We will be having our annual Small and Emerging Business Appreciation Day. What that is about is us showing appreciation to the small business community. not just those who have contracts with JAXPORT. At that event is very educational. The topics are relevant to what small businesses in our communities are going through. We haven't, we don't look at the whole big picture. All I care about is what we're doing right now and how we can make it better for smaller businesses. This Appreciation Day started a few years back when one of our biggest contractors, as part of their contract with the government, they had to start putting forth an effort to contract with small minority contractors. So part of that was they would come into JAXPORT once a year, have this event on how to do business with us, and then do some one-on-one counseling with small businesses. Um, Needless to say, we needed to spruce that up a little bit. And so what we start doing is start working with all our agency partners to make it better. Again, with this being a community thing, I didn't want it to be just JAXPORT. I mean, of course, we had the mantle, but all the partners take part in this. They're all there. They're all bringing their small business teams with them. They all get a chance to speak. And then we bring in experts to talk about different things, whether it's somebody from FSCJ or UNF, or we bring in a couple of business coaches. Last year was so exciting. We brought in a couple of small business coaches from the city of Jacksonville and got a real flavor of what's going on in the neighborhoods. So my goal every year is to try and get somebody from the community to talk about how they were successful and what it is they need. So we developed this whole program, and our way of showing appreciation, besides feeding them all day, was to was to give them information that they can use right now, and to present them with people who look like them, who are making it, and are willing to share how they're successful. And again, then we brought in the educational pieces from the colleges and from the SBDC, who has great programs around, but again, the access is kind of hard. So we got to figure that out, because they have great programs that we use all of them, all their small business programs. I send everybody, there, but I would like to see more branches of things like that. So our main focus is education. We want to make sure, again, that somebody's taking away a nugget. And then we usually ended up with an award ceremony with small businesses who have contracted with us that year. And we want to show that we appreciate them for the hard work they've done for us, because they have the ability, because of their nimbleness, to do a lot of things that big companies can't, which is what I try and tell people, So we want to thank them. And then the fact that they're getting all the contracts really makes me look good, what can I say? But every year, I also try and have somebody who got a contract with us have a piece on the program to show what they had to go through personally to get that contract. So it's all about community, and it's all about everybody pulling together. I mean, I literally have all the directors of procurement throughout the city, all the agencies, and we have a panel every year, different topics, because I don't want to get stale. I don't want to give out too much information about this year, but it's going to be really relevant to the virtual age, really relevant towards how everybody's moving. Again, we talked about earlier, just a little tidbit, every last one of us are moving to electronic submissions of our bids. And so people really need to get up to speed, and I want to show them how to do that. And I want to have classes on doing that for each person's system. That's my future. But I want people to understand that this is how it's being done. Moving people, uh, this pandemic has forced us in that direction. But the reality of it for a small business person to not have to take their time to come down here and drop off a bid, or not to have to come down here and do a pre-bid meeting, or, those time elements are perfect for small businesses. So now you can cut out 2 hours of that travel. You sit back and say, I got 2 hours travel for a half an hour meeting. Now you just got a half an hour meeting.
Mhm.
And I think that this age that we've been forced into is really going to benefit small businesses.
I agree with that. Yeah, a lot of people are able to show up now and to get access to individuals through virtual platforms that they did not have access to before. So absolutely. Have you all already put out a event link yet, or are we still
No,
waiting on that?
no, I'm still working
Okay,
on that. Still finishing up.
so just the date.
Yeah. Um, uh, Finishing up a lot of loose ends, and trying to take an 8-hour program and squeeze it into a couple hours and make sure it's impactful. So I've been working with my team here to come up with that. We pretty much got it together. How we want to do it now is getting the parties together to shrink their material a little bit. So,
Okay,
but
so
it
March
should be coming out
24th.
within the next week or so.
Okay, so just hold the date, March 24th,
March
2021.
24th. Yep.
Okay, awesome.
And
Do you
it'll be in
want
the
to
morning.
shout out any businesses who won last
I
in the
lost you.
morning?
Okay, I lost you. I do. You know what? I'm looking over here and I see Kim Scott on here.
Do you want to
Um,
shout out any businesses from last year?
yeah. Again, I see Kim Scott on here,
Businesses.
and she works with me on a lot of my promotional stuff, and I want to get her more so she can be a speaker soon. But uh, I really want to shout out, to be honest with you, to all my fellow agencies that do what we do. Um, to JTA, JAA, and the members of our task force. Valerie's a member of one of my task force that we work on, and it's all about celebrating small businesses. And she's a part of our MBDBE Day
Mhm.
that we do here in Jacksonville. But I want to make sure that every time somebody thinks about small business and working and contracting with government agencies, that they make that connection with that agency. I was on a meeting this weekend, last week, uh, with the Porter Brown, and she talked about this plan for people to make a concerted effort to know at least one person in that agency that you want to do business with. So to know who you're working with. So if I can get everybody to make a concerted effort, that part of their business plan is to make sure I know who the Brian is at JTA. I know who the Brian is at Duval. I know who the Brian is at JAA. And to make those contacts and make that a part of your, that's a nugget I stole from her. And I think it's the great,
I like it.
it's just like, you really got to know people. You really got to get to know. So stop trying to do everything and just concentrate on one piece. And you'll be surprised how many jobs are coming out that you didn't know about because you don't know. Um, and when I was in Pittsburgh, I used to have a Know Your Banker night, and I would bring in all the bankers in the area, and we would have a Know Your Banker. You can't come in here cold, basically. You can't go into a bank cold. Even though you're a customer, they need to know who you are. I need to know who you are. So give me a call. Say, hey, Brian, and every time I do one of these, I get way more calls than I really push for. No, I'm just joking. But so it's just, you gotta reach out. I'm sorry, but that's a key point for me, is to know who you need to know. And I'll be glad to give you who you need to know if you call me. Did I put my number out there?
Yeah, actually, not yet, but we can. Go ahead. What I'm going to do for you, I'm going to give you a gift, because I always give gifts out. I'm going to get that information from you, compile it, and then post it
Okay,
so that everyone has access to it.
good.
Am I breaking up?
Well, you're good now.
Technology.
Yeah. We'll get it
Yes,
together.
I will post it. Yeah, I'll post that information because that's a great takeaway. Someone posted in the comments, what is next? And I think the what is next is what you just said, to start compiling that list of who is the Brian at the other organizations that you should connect to. And I'm also going to talk to you about the Know Your Banker Night. We may go ahead and take that from you as well.
All right.
Because we're here as a resource.
Yeah.
And any ideas or suggestions that you give to us, we do intend to implement them to make sure that small businesses have the resources they need. Okay, we are down to our last couple of minutes. Any final or closing thoughts? I would take questions from the group. If you have questions, please just email them to me, because for some reason my internet's going in and out. So please email them to me at greaterfirstcoastchamber@gmail.com. And we will get those questions answered. greaterfirstcoastchamber@gmail.com. And our Facebook handle is @FirstCoastChamber. Any last thoughts, Mr. Williams?
No. Hey, Miss Deborah, how you doing? I see you got a little comment in there. And my friend Nashawn, thanks for putting the word out.
Thank you all so much for joining us. Mr. Williams, again, thank you. I really appreciate it. You're taking the time out of your day to talk to us and to launch this series for us. Thanks, Nashawn, and everyone else who's on the chat. If you have any questions or thoughts, go ahead and email them to us, and we will definitely get them answered by Mr. Williams, and we'll also get that list from him as well.
Yeah, I have a frequently asked questions piece that I'm getting ready to put out on our website. So if there are any questions, I can add that to that list. And because if you're asking them, then you need to know. Somebody needs to know. So I want to get that up as soon as possible. My frequently asked questions. I'm about 90% there. I just want to get some more feedback.
Okay, awesome. And then the first step to take also after this call is to go ahead and just register with your entity site to get on your mail list.
Right. JAXPORT.com, procurement.
And that, everybody, yeah, I so apologize. My internet is going in and out, but we will conclude this first session. Mr. Williams, thank you again. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this call. We really appreciate you. Really appreciate your time. Have a great day.
All right. Bye.